Welcome everyone to the Shadow and the Blade showdown between Hag Wraith, who shall be led by Malus Darkblade, and today guys we face off against the High Elves, who shall be led by Teclis and Alistair the White Lion. So if you go ahead and take a look, in custom battles now they actually have the campaign units available. So if you're playing Empire, for example, you can bring the Emperor's Wrath Steam Tank, all kinds of crazy stuff. So my opponent here, the Great Job Plays, has brought Alistair the White Lion, and yeah, he's apparently a hero character who can be mounted on a Star Dragon, so that's pretty terrifying for sure. Now, as far as my army goes, in the front line, it's going to be 4 groups of spears, 2 groups of chariots, one of which is going to be the Ravagers of Rakarth. So these guys are insanely good, and I think that Scourge Runner chariots are probably the best unit, like amongst all the new DLC units. They're just really, really powerful. These bad boys have barbed nets, so when somebody's chasing them, basically, it lowers their speed and missile resist, which is insane. If they're being chased by heavy cav or monsters, which are usually things that deal with chariots, they could just shoot them down and slow them. It's so damn powerful. So we got 2 of those, a couple Dark Riders on the flanks, 2 groups of Dread Spears. So there's going to be, or 4 groups, excuse me. There's going to be 4 of those. Malus is going to be riding with his retinue here of Cold One Knights, which is usually a pretty good idea because you're going to be forced into these big pit fights, right? And Malus, that's where he shines. The Demon's Curse, lowering melee defense and leadership, just so good. And of course, we do have the Tazarkan and the sword to heal him up. Now, to deal with High Elves, of course, you're going to have to deal with archers. That is one of the few advantages, not few, but one of the advantages High Elves do have is archers. Against Dark Elves, they have the better range. Their archers hit hard. They have nets of Amachok to lock you down in Teclis. It's very scary for sure. So to deal with archers for High Elves, I usually bring pendulums. So I bring the Sorceress, plus I do also like the Jill of Sontar for its breath attack. If you get in the side, you can roast a group of archers pretty effectively while you're tying them down with other things. So that's pretty much it for Dov. Over here, we do have Alistair the White Lion. We have Teclis, and it looks like a bunch of spears in the front line, a couple of groups of Lothern Seaguard and archers. Looks like Reavers in the back, and Reavers across the board. So Reaver is certainly going to give him some pretty good battlefield control, and also a cheap option to potentially tie down my chariot since they're not terribly expensive. It's not like a group of Dragon Princes chasing, for example, who are much slower, can't catch them, and will also be losing a lot of gold per mono lost. So the battle's underway here. The Ravagers of Rakarth going to be opening up here on Teclis, getting a couple of shots in there, not devastating damage. Teclis does have nets. I was pretty privy to this, so I was kept splitting them up. I would send them in together, and then when Teclis would turn about face, I would split them up. I was trying to bait out that net there, but in the meantime, you can see Illyrian Reavers going to be going around the flanks here, looking for those juicy Dark Riders to engage on. Of course, they usually do win that engagement, but here comes the Ravagers of Rakarth shooting up in the sky, going after Alistair the White Lion. You can see a net of Amachok coming in on the Ravagers here, which means the Sisters, sister, probably going to open up shop here and do some good damage. And they seem like a pretty good answer against those chariots. 180 range, good AP values. I think the Ravagers of Rakarth and those chariots in general. I'm kind of curious. There's a lot of matchups in which they're very, very oppressive for sure. So here we have a big cav fight coming in. It looks like it's going to be Reavers and Alistair the White Lion coming in. And I have to tell you guys, I have to be honest here, the entire battle, I thought this was not a Dragon Prince, but I thought it was just a Star Dragon. But no, it was Alistair the White Lion. So big battle's underway. Harvesters charging in with Dark Riders. Jill of Sontar is coming in, and with Malus, I'm going to be going up and around the back. You can see the attack orders being given, and then I'm going to be collapsing in the back, trying to get that big old pin here as the Jill of Sontar goes fisticuff. So you can see I'm just trying to get the best surround I can, and from here we will be popping the Demon's Curse. So now Enfeebling Foe is active on the Dragon. Its melee defense is literally 0, but it looks like Dov is going to be doing some witchcraft with Teclis, dropping down the Fiery Convocation, which actually does quite a bit of damage. That's a really cool shot. Look at Alistair up there on the Dragon fighting the Jill of Sontar. So it tears through the ranks, and it looks like it hits the chariots, but of course it doesn't do much against those type of targets. Now in the back, some of the Dark Riders were able to get on Sisters, but Sisters, of course, very powerful here in melee combat compared to Dark Riders, so they should win. The frontline engagements are underway, so it's basically just a wet noodle contest of the god as the Spears fight. Pendulum going down as well from the Sorceress of Shadows in the back, going after that Lothern Seaguard. And my Rakarth's Ravagers and the Scourge Runner Chariots at this point just shooting into the Star Dragon, because both of us took pretty heavy losses. He lost his 2 Reavers, took a bunch of damage on his Star Dragon. I lost pretty much my Sniktch's Harvesters. My Dark Riders took some damage on Cold One Knights and the Jill of Sontar. So as far as overall damage traded, you can see the bounce power is pretty even, and I think that is a somewhat accurate reflection. Granted, Malus is in very good health, and getting that poke on Teclis and getting the Star Dragon that low is quite good. At the back, Dark Riders still just trolling here, causing problems for the Sisters. I know I'm not going to be able to DPS them down, but for the most part, I should be able to kind of partially stop them from firing. And it looks like the Star Dragon might break once again. It is near my units, and it's going to be running here, but it looks like Dov is going to get that very, very clutch regrowth here on Alistair the White Lion, topping that bad boy off and doing the people proud. So in the back, we forced a couple more fights. We were able to pick off those Reavers once again. Malus Darkblade here on his Steed Spite, doing a very, very good job at just kind of keeping that demon form in my back pocket. It's very strong, but again, you don't want to pop it early. You want to use it pretty much only when you have to, or there are situations if you're in a big blob fight, sometimes it's a good idea to switch, simply because it gives you some really good AoE damage, and Reaper of Souls and Bloodstorm, of course, do a lot of damage in a blob fight, so you might want to switch sometimes. But in the front line, my Dread Spears are losing here to the Spearmen. High Elf Spearmen usually do pretty well in that matchup, and a Pendulum going down as well, which just hits those Sisters so damn hard. They just got pounded by that Pendulum. Harvesters and Dark Riders are probably going to be forced back here, but nonetheless, that was a pretty cost-effective little trade. So the Chill of Sontar are going to be jumping in, trying to get a terror out on the Spearmen as Malus and his contingent of Cold One Knights try and jump through here, looking to get past these Spearmen. And you can see these Cold One Knights are able to jump on the Lothern Sea Guard there, doing some fine work. So Chill of Sontar getting into these archers here, and Melkos Visify Miasma going down, not to slow the archers, excuse me, but basically just to try and get what damage I can. So now that the Star Dragon's coming back, Alistar, he might be the equalizer here. So I need to really make sure to focus him down with those repeater bolts coming in, or not repeater bolts, but the Scourge Runner bolts coming in from those chariots back there. Malus going to be jumping in as well. Nice breath attack by Job. Pulls the bounce of power back towards the middle, but Malus is in, the blood price has been paid, and the Demon's Curse is active. So the debuff's just going to just hog wild on these guys, as I do also have some Dread Spears here that were able to get around the flank. But the frontline engagements I am losing. You can see the Howl Spearmen, of course, winning across the board. But if we can get the Star Dragon here, that's going to be really nice. Chill of Sontar in a bit of a dangerous situation, but the Star Dragon as well, -10. So all these characters here just in a dicey situation. Malus Darkblade coming in, and of course with his good AP values, should be able to break off Alistar here. And Alistar looks like he is going to be running as my Scourge Runner chariots continue to poke in against that Star Dragon. Now the bounce power for the first time of the game has gone in my favor just a little bit, but you can see like it's just so close. Like every couple seconds it keeps ebbing back towards the middle, and Alistar has fallen, so he has gone down here. The Scourge Runner chariot certainly doing very good. Unfortunately for me though, the Chill of Sontar is broken as well, which means Dov, if he's able to get Teclis away, I think Teclis is faster. He's 78 speed against Malus at 68. Malus has the typical speed of like a heavy cav unit. He's going to be able to chase me off the battlefield and make sure that the dreaded Chill of Sontar doesn't return to whisper any more tales in the night. So Malus Darkblade going to be just continuing to fight these sisters. Sisters are one of the main units that can really punish my army. Scourge Runner chariots are just about out of ammunition, so it's going to be pretty soon here that I switch these guys into pretty much just using them as chariots. And good kills, 33 and 21, considering they were shooting single entities for most of the game. Solid value from those guys. And of course the Barb Net's going down, and here they come charging through. I'm basically just going to be using Scourge Runner chariots to go after the archers and just try and neutralize the threats that can threaten them. Nonetheless, though, Job gets a really good play. He actually breaks the Chill of Sontar, and I'm trying to chase him with Malus. I'm like, okay, if I can get this Hydra back, it's basically game over. But a really good net of Amachok is going to leave me locked in place for a good, like, 10 plus seconds. I think it's like 15 seconds, the duration. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. So he's going to get some good separation. So now I have a bit of a precarious situation or decision to make. Do I go after Teclis and try and save the Hydra? But again, if he's able to get the Hydra off the battlefield and I can't quite catch up to Teclis because of its speed and the Chill of Sontar being so far away, then, you know, he's going to net huge profit, as the rest of his forces here will probably have a decent chance at overwhelming what I have. But I end up, in the end, deciding to bring Malus back. So we bring Malus back here, and we're going to be jumping on the Lothern Sea Guard and these other troops here, and basically just trying to, take those guys out, because I think it's a little bit more effective. Teclis is going to have to chase for quite some time. Potion of Kroy going down as well is going to be giving Teclis some fat heals, although it just finished, it looked like, but nonetheless getting enough heals to pull the bounce power back towards the middle. But, I got my trap card in my back pocket. I do have Tazarkan, so I haven't had to summon him yet. So if the battle does get really grindy and really close here at the end, I can summon that, and it's going to be super efficient at clearing out massive amounts of troops. In his standard form, Malus isn't a great horde clearing unit, but when he's Tazarkan, the demon, his AoE buffs just do a ton of, or debuffs do a ton of damage. Like the Bloodstorm and the Reaper of Souls is basically like a Soul Stealer effect. So here the Demon's Curse active once again, just trying to break off these Spearmen. -16 leadership, quite good. Actually, the game before this, Dob Plays and I were playing, and I tried a Dark Elf build. It was a pure leadership bomb build. So basically, it was Malus, it was Charybdis, just a bunch of characters, the Bloodrack Shrine, just all these things that tank leadership. It wasn't good at all. It just got crumped by the Beastmen, but it was pretty interesting to try out. There's certainly some leadership shenanigans you can do with the Dark Elves now, which I look forward to experimenting with. Anyways, Chariot's here trying to pull out. That's what she said. Needing to get back here, and you can see the Dread Spears over here going after these Reaver Cav, and also the Sorceress of Shadows is going to be collapsing in here. So Teclis finally able to chase off the Chill of Sontar, which was able to heal up pretty massively before Teclis got it off the battlefield. So as soon as that thing's gone, it pulls the bounce of power back. Granted, I think it's a bit of a false representation of the true state of the battle, as Malus is still not even demonic yet. So here we're going to be getting Malus. He's going to be switching onto his demon form here in a moment, and here he goes, Malus Darkblade appearing as Tazarkan the demon. Now he's back, and the High Elves are going to be running for the hills as Reaper of Souls and Bloodstorm goes off. So Reaper of Souls is Soul Stealer effect, and the other one basically just does instant burst damage and gives him some ward save, if I'm not mistaken. So from here, we're able to break those guys off. Malus and company going to be drifting over here, going after these guys, getting a nice little punch of damage into those. They're able to really melt those guys down. And the Dread Spear is going to chase those guys. And Teclis coming in to meet his final doom at the hands of Tazarkan and the Sorceress. So yeah, when Malus gets super demonic here, he gets some really good buffs. His weapon strength gets much higher, 512. And on top of that, he does also get a better charge bonus. And I believe his melee attack might get an increase. Granted, I'm not sure if that was like that before. Does he have anything popped right now? it's interesting. We'll have to take a look at that. Maybe do a comparison in another video or something like that. So basically Teclis is just, coming to go fisticuffs here. He could, potentially try and run, but with the sorceress and the chariots, we decided to have a little cinematic duel here, as I would eventually be able to chase that guy down. That's pretty much going to be all she wrote for the High Elves. Very well played to Dob Plays. That was one of the many games we played this day. So after this, guys, it's going to be a hot 2-for-1. So we're going to have another battle. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. So as far as the build goes, I think it's pretty good. You have anti-archer play with Dark Riders, Pendulums, and Chill of Sontar. You have good Dragon Prince counterplay with the Cold Knights and Malus and the Chariots, the Scourge under Chariots. I feel like it's a pretty well-rounded Dark Elf build. And honestly, even though Malus is new, I would probably take him... I don't know, would I take him over like Malekith or Marathi in this matchup? Malekith and Marathi are super good for block fights with Soul Stealer. It's hard to say, but I think he's a contender, and I think he's worth considering because that Demon's Curse ability is really damn good. And having basically 2 leases on life is very, very strong. So for Dov's build, it was great. Obviously, Alistair the White Lion got caught up in that initial engagement. I think that was really the big defining factor, is how much damage Alistair and the Star Dragon took in the beginning. That kind of gave me the leg up to then push forward and pressure some of those other units. But aside from that, it was a very, very close game. I think it was just that getting caught was really the deciding factor. So very well played to Dov. And guys, now we're going to be jumping over to another glorious battle between Dov and I, which was extremely fun. So stay tuned for that, guys. It'll be up here in just a moment. See you in a sec. Welcome back, guys, and take a look at that glorious thumbnail here for Volkmar the Grim. Oh my god, he just looks so pissed off. He's giving that kind of evil eye over there. But anyways, guys, it's going to be my clan Eschen, led by the Ratmaster, the Deathmaster himself, facing off against the Empire, who shall be led by Volkmar the Grim. A lot of heavy cav facing off against Warp Grinders, Jezzails, all sorts of crazy stuff. So now let's go ahead and catalog the new units I have. So in the back, I do of course have the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters, but really I wanted to kind of experiment with new things. There are of course very meta builds against Empire, which are relatively safe and powerful, but in this case I wanted to try out Warp Grinders, which I do think will be pretty good here. So I have 2 Warp Grinders, one here, one to the far side, and in the back I do have 2 of the Guando Rats. So these are the Eschen Triads. And the Eschen Triads, of course, anti-large, armor piercing. They can certainly do the trick, as they do also have Weeping Blade, so they make your other troops a little bit more powerful against heavy armor. So I'm like, okay, let's use the Warp Grinders, let's use the Eschen Triads, see what we can do against these heavy cav units. On the flanks, a couple Rat Ogres as well. We do have the Deathmaster. I like the Master Assassin, but there's something so much fun. They're just so badass about using the Deathmaster. He does have scaling damage, so as you do damage to things, he does more damage. So if something's like really beat up, he gets like a burst of extra damage. On top of that, Weeping Blades, Deathmaster Snare, Whirl of Weeping Blades to kind of clear out state troops. Let's give it a try. So also, guys, we have the Warlock Engineer. So this was something I wanted to try, and we have a new spell. So Flensing Ruin is the spell that replaced Skitter Leap and Lore of Ruin, and it seems to be like a single target, like Spirit Leech type effect, and it costs 16 Winds of Magic. So we're going to be trying it this battle and seeing how it does. Aside from that, we have Howling Warp Gale in case he brought like Toddy or Boris, or Toddy or Carl, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So a couple of those, and I believe we do also have the Vikstrand's Death Squad, which have concealment bombs. These guys, of course, have good AP values, bonus force infantry, and I just wanted to give them a try. Now, a couple things here, obviously, Vikstrand's Death Squad plus the Runecaster obviously aren't that great against Empire on paper, but just want to try them out, see what they can do. We have a couple of these Slingers up front, and yeah, that's it. So for Dov, he said this build has been pretty good against Skaven in the past. So he's got 2 Pistoliers, 6 heavy cav units, including Knights of the Blazing Sun, and a couple groups of Empire Knights, Spearmen, Firecaster to Fireball Snipe my Lord. Looks like an Empire Captain, Volkmar the Grim, and a bunch of Spears. So it's a very, very solid build for sure. And let's see how some of these new Skaven units fare against a very proven and solid Empire player and build. So here the Pistoliers taking a little bit of fire from Jezzails in the beginning, but now they're getting some decent poke here against the Skaven slaves. So at this point, I'm going to be running over the Gutter Runners, going to be scooting over that direction to try and counter the Pistoliers as the Empire Heavy Cav does get in position to kind of pressure me. Volkmar the Grim coming in as well, so we will be grabbing the Deathmaster, running up to intercept Volkmar and trying to kind of pin him down here to make sure he doesn't get too crazy. So Rat Ogre is going to be screening out Pistoliers, but I meant to kind of send the Skaven slaves in their place, but a little bit of sloppy play from my part basically lets the Rat Ogres get shot, but it's not the end of the world. So over here, shooting in with the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters, hitting those Empire Knights. Should have been going after Knights of the Blazing Sun. So here we do use the Deathmaster Sigil, trying to snare down Volkmar the Grim, lock him in place, because I don't want him in my lines causing terror, and we actually get a pretty good shank there. You can see Deathmaster getting a decent poke on Volkmar, a couple good attacks, really able to get some decent DPS, but the Fireball coming in plus Volkmar, scary situation. Ice Banishment from Dob Plays as well. Here the Rat Ogre is going to be getting a charge on those Empire Knights, and right here, we are able to get the Warp Grinder teams to engage on the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Now, their attacks are pretty pitiful, even though their weapon strength is high. Their damage output isn't that great, but here we are able to, I believe, do the AoE snare. No, it doesn't look like it. And the Eschen Triads were able to get some decent punch on Knights of the Blazing Sun, but the Pistoliers are also lending some really good supporting fire, and there it is. Seismic Snare and Warp Quake is able to lock down those Knights of the Blazing Sun. Now, same thing on the other side, basically. The Warp Grinders here getting chased down and unfortunately lanced pretty bad. They're not the tankiest of rat folk, so at this point, we're going to be turning around and basically doing what we can. Here in the center mass, Volkmar the Grim fighting, and yeah, really nice burning head there, able to hit my Vikstrand's Death Squad. Weeping Blades is active on Volkmar, so only has 20 armor now, and Deathmaster is actually able to fend off Volkmar. I was really happy about that. In the back, I did lose those warp grinders really fast and furiously. They're very squishy, so if you screw up once on them, it's going to be a pretty bad time. In the meantime, you could see that these sling units just poking down the pistoliers, finally getting some decent value, and the Guando, Eshin Triads doing well. I mean, only 9 kills, but they've done some good anti-large damage to most of these cav units over the course of the battle. So at this point, realizing I'm taking a lot of pressure on all my flanks, I'm just going to be falling back and trying to secure my sharpshooters, allow them to get some decent value against these Empire Knights and other tools like that. And here we are able to goon out Dov's Caster. So the Bright Wizard does get caught by the Vixturn's Death Squad, as well as a bunch of these Assassin Clan Rats or Clan Eshin Rats. And yeah, the Bright Wizard should be falling. However, though, Volkmar the Grim starting to turn it around, beating down the Deathmaster a little bit, just running me over. So Deathmaster is going to be using the Whirl of Weaving Blades. I thought I was a little bit closer to those spears, so it basically does nothing, but it looks really cool. And yeah, we need to get into those spears. I mean, if I had just been a centimeter, not centimeter, but a little bit further, I could have done some really good work against those guys. So here we pop the Seismic Snare to lock all these troops in place, including these Knights of the Blazing Sun, allowing my my snipers to kind of shoot them, some of my other slingers to get the decent jump here, and also for some of the spear units to do some okay DPS. So Volkmar the Grim's going to be going over here to try and win this battle. I do, of course, have Rat Ogres and Vixturn's Death Squad, which the Death Squad would be able to probably kill all of these guys and do very well, but now that Volkmar's here, it's going to be a very different situation as he rolls in on his pimp cart and just doing outstanding damage against my troops. Over here, we do, of course, have Deathmaster Sniktch. He's going to be going after the Empire Captain here. He's got his shank out. And yeah, this is like a perfect situation. This is exactly what Deathmaster wants to be doing. Oh, look at that bombardment from Dov over there doing so much work. But basically, we just want to be, going after his characters, trying to take those guys out. Warpquake is active from the grinders, doing some decent damage. And it's not like a Mortis Engine effect, it's like a ticking effect. So it's something that ticks over time and does some decent work there. Now, I don't know if I've gotten a chance to show you guys the new spell. I used it on some of his cav units, and to be honest and completely frank, it really didn't do much damage. Knights of the Blazing Sun do have a base 15%, but even with that being said, 85% of the damage still should go through and be okay, but it really wasn't very good. For 16 Winds Magic, it seemed like a pretty poor spell, so I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a disclaimer there. Now, Balance of Power is a little bit in my favor. We're currently in a decent situation, taking out the Captain, taking out the Knights of the Blazing Sun. We've kind of secured this position, but you can never count out Volkmar the Grim. Volkmar the Grim is an absolute powerhouse of a character, and, I do have Deathmaster to take him out, but aside from Deathmaster, there's not too many characters in my army that can actually deal with Volkmar the Grim. So the rats here are kind of being run over by the massive amounts of Empire Knights, some of the Guando rats, the Triads, trying their best to secure that position, and here it is. You can see the Flensing Ruin. It does also lower armor, so I guess there's some dual purpose there. And it did some okay damage. I guess it broke one group, but yeah, it really just wasn't much here. So at this point, I see a huge goon squad of Empire Knights and other units coming in, so I'm going to be trying to get the Warp Grinders in position because Deathmaster is actually in a duel with Volkmar, and he's losing it. He's having a bad time. Volkmar, of course, a very persistent guy, and he does have a bonus for his infantry himself, and the thing about Deathmaster is he's very squishy, very, very squishy. Like if he's taking perpetual blows in sustained combat, and he's not like killing the target like a lightly armored target or a small character, he's going to go down quick. I think like big monsters will be tricky for him. Granted, he can still get in there, do a couple attacks with the sigil, and then run away. I think that's probably how you'll have to play against such targets. So we have some ratty boys coming back in. We do also have the Warlock Engineer, who does have Howling Warp Gale. Pretty much not useful here, but we do have Warp Lightning as well. And the Deathmaster is basically just chasing down Knights, trying to get some shanks where he can. And nice little AoE damage there. You see that? He took out 3 of those units right there. Knights of the Blazing Sun shaken and stirred. And those guys are going to be getting pushed off the battlefield, it looks like, as the... I think those guys are going to be getting run off there quite good-like. So Warp Grinders surging back in as well. And Deathmaster Sniktch able to kind of secure the position. So Dov has actually pulled ahead on the Bounce of Power. Some really good cleanups over here. And remember, as this battle does go on, Volkmar the Grim is healing. So like he's just becoming more and more of a threat that I have to kind of deal with here. So at this point, just going to be getting a blob. I figured with the Warp Grinders plus Deathmaster, let's fight together. Skaven are extremely brave creatures. So if we can fight hand in hand together, shoulder to shoulder, the Skaven would never run from their compatriots here. So the Warp Grinders basically just getting them in position to lock down these Knights of the Blazing Sun. I believe, have the Seismic Snare on cooldown here, or off cooldown. So I'm just going to be waiting for these guys to come in. Granted, maybe I should have been more patient. I felt like I had enough here to kind of deal with them, but here it goes. So we pop it, these bad boys drill into the earth, and it snares the Knights of the Blazing Sun. And here comes the Rat Ogres, nullifying the charge bonus here of the Knights of the Blazing Sun. And you can see the Skaven, yes, are going to be jumping in here and doing some great work. Yeah, able to distract those Knights. So the Warp Grinders, even in the late game with only a couple models, all you need is like 1 or 2, right? Or a model left, and they're still able to apply that big snare, which is really useful. Pistoliers are being forced back, but the biggest issue for me is a lot of Empire Knights coming in. I do, of course, have some brave Skaven slaves coming, some Guando rats, and the Vixturn's Death Squad, who's up to 27 kills here. But for the most part, it's going to be really hard to deal with Volkmar. So falling back a little bit here, kiting with my Gutter Runners, and the Deathmaster is going to be going in for the isolation because I don't want to get a mass terror out on all these guys. I basically just want to force fights elsewhere with my other units. And maybe get lucky and see if the Deathmaster can take out Volkmar. We get a couple decent shanks, but with Empire Knights coming in, and I do not believe Deathmaster is immune to psychology. So unfortunately, he can be terror-routed by Volkmar the Grim as well. Balance actually kind of like eking back towards the middle a little bit as my little rat boy is putting up a good fight over here. And Deathmaster, of course, going after Volkmar, but Volkmar, you know, he's got bigger fish to fry. And by bigger fish, I mean a horde of filthy, gibbering Skaven here, who's going to be jumping into and trying to get some nice terror route. So here he comes. Here comes that Volkmar. He's on the wagon, and he gets a terror route. I think, no, Rat Ogre's just with the natural break. Warp Lightning going down right there, zapping some Empire Knights as well. Gutter Runners being forced off. And now it's going to be Deathmaster and Warlock Engineer versus the world, basically. My other units here, the Death Squad and the Eshin Triads, have been forced off as well. These other Triads in pretty bad shape. And I think there's going to be a bombardment coming down. It looks like he's going to be getting a fat one right there on the Gutter Runners. Yeah, that was a really, really nice Soulfire bombardment right there as the Warlock Engineer tries his best. He tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, we'll find out if it matters as we surge in here. Let's get some close-up cine shots here of the Rat Man doing his backflips. Oh, or just getting lanced by a bunch of Empire Knights. That's fine. He knocked over. That works well. The classic Footlord paradigm here is this guy's in a little bit of trouble. So Deathmaster's going to be going, and I believe we have a Whirl of Weeping Blades. I can't remember if it was off cooldown, but anyways, they're going to be fighting. Volkmar is coming back in. I figured maybe if I could break these Empire Knights before Volkmar got here, the Warlock Engineer plus Deathmaster might be able to 2v1 that, but Dav is ever the savvy opponent here, so he's not going to be giving me that fight for free. So the Rats are going to be coming in, trying to get us around. Deathmaster going in and popping the concealment bombs, just trying to see if I could like de-aggro him or screw up the charge. And Deathmaster Sigil is active. So he's snared in place, but Volkmar does not care about snares. He's going to keep moving nonetheless and runs back towards his reinforcements here. And I'm just not going to be able to get him. It's going to be too little too late. So the Deathmaster tried his best, but he was run over by Volkmar the Grim, which I think is very fitting. Great stuff. That was a really fun game. It was actually back and forth. You know, in the midpoint of the game, I was in okay shape. But when Volkmar the Grim rallied and healed, I was like, oh God, it's coming. Volkmar. So just to kind of assess the build, obviously we're experimenting with new units. It's not going to be like a proven competitive build. I think Deathmaster's okay here. I like him against Empire. I feel like the snare and his ability to assassinate characters and things like that isn't bad. Scroll probably still better. Hard to say, but Deathmaster didn't do bad. I think Warp Grinders are going to be something you see a lot. I think they're very good, especially in conjunction with the Guando Rats, the Eshin Triads. Now, if I had to make this build more competitive to, you know, have a more consistent battle against an army like the one Dav brought, I would 100% cut the Warlock Engineer. I basically got zero value out of my Winds of Magic the entire game, like nothing. I felt like I was playing without a caster. So get a Plague Priest, summon some rats. That would have been really nice to help deal with his infantry a little bit quicker, to get rid of some of the chaff in my lines. I would cut the Vixren's Death Squad. They're just not very good. I would replace them probably with more Rat Ogres just to have more mass against his Empire Knights. And honestly, suddenly you have a good build. It really just came down to the Warlock Engineer and the Vixren's Death Squad just not doing a whole lot, especially the Warlock's Engineer. That was just so bad. But yeah, it was really fun. Well played to Dav. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this 2-for-1. And stay tuned, guys. In the next couple days, I'm going to be having a Clan Eshin campaign. So I've decided to play the Deathmaster himself for my campaign, which it's really fun. You guys are going to dig it. So that'll be coming up in the next few days, and of course a ton of quick battles. Also on the 16th, I'm going to be traveling to Poland. So I'm going to be going to Poland with my lovely wife, Anna. We're going to be going to see her family. So I'll be there for 10 days, but nonetheless, I'll have videos going for you guys the whole time. There won't be any streams during that time, but it's going to be pretty hog wild as far as like content coming out. I'm going hard. So stay tuned, guys, for that. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Make sure to check out Dav Plays. He's been an absolutely awesome guy playing with me in this early access. And yeah, that's it. So see you guys next time and take care.